I luckily got a chance to rotate here as a med student, but what I really, really liked about the program was that there were 4 different sites.
The multi-site model.
Multi-site model.
Multi-site program.
The multiple clinical sites.
Some of the greatest things in residency that prepared me to do what I do now is rotating through a multitude of different sites, honestly.
You know, when I was going through interviews, at first I thought it would be more convenient just to have, a behemoth single hospital that all of our electives, both outpatient and inpatient, were at.
It can be intimidating for residents and can seem like a lot to get used to. And
some people are worried that that will make things feel too distracted or too broad.
And that was actually one of the things that was really new to me whenever I first interviewed.
In my head, thought of the traditional residency program as something you're a resident in one hospital and you do all your work in that place.
But at the end of the day, it exposes us to such a wide variety of practice styles and practice situations.
The pros are we get very good at being uncomfortable at a different place every month.
Different sites have different electronic medical records, and you have to be able to navigate those different systems to be successful.
Now that I'm applying to fellowships, I feel like I can go into any work environment and be successful. I know how to work in different EMRs. And then for your training, you get to see and decide what type of medicine you want to practice someday.
Did I want to practice in an academic health setting? Did I want to practice at a freestanding children's hospital? Did I want to practice at a community hospital? And so to have the opportunity to train in a variety of subspecialties at a variety of clinical sites was the big draw for me.
Just really given me a different view of what's available in pediatrics and what sort of pediatrics different populations seek care for.
Taking care of patients is really a fluid, ever-changing process with new guidelines and new ways of trying and doing things that we get at Minnesota that other people don't get elsewhere.
Treating multiple different populations within the cities also helps residents start to think about, and helped me start to think about, how things such as social, political, and historical determinants of health affect wide varieties of populations that we serve within the Twin Cities. And so that was something I really appreciated.
I feel like despite our 4 very different hospital settings where we get to rotate as residents, it's actually still felt like a community of staff in the different places.
And I really appreciate that, because when I talk to friends from other parts of the country, that's not necessarily always the case. And I think it's because our clinical community knows, oh gosh, these are people that ideally I would love to work with.
Each hospital having its own slightly different focus and culture.
So our program rotates at 4 different hospitals: Hennepin Healthcare, the University of Minnesota, and then Children's Minnesota. So Children's Minnesota is one hospital system that has 2 major campuses, Minneapolis and St. Paul.
So you can work in more of an academic setting, you get to have experience in a private practice setting, you get to have practice in a community setting, and really serve all of the kids of Minnesota, which is wonderful.
You know, one of the things I always highlight as being unique about doing clinical work at the University of Minnesota Masonic Children's Hospital, just this opportunity to really learn about and care for kids and their families who are navigating often a quite complex or difficult diagnosis, and being able to be a part of a care team that just has this incredible expertise that oftentimes we have people who are the only place in the world that has that expertise.
I think one of the main strengths is the collaboration that exists between the different interprofessionals and the different subspecialists. Everyone knows each other really well, and you have experts from around the world in their field that you get to work on and be a part of that team, and everyone is so welcoming.
So not only are you learning how to think about a patient that maybe there is not a huge body of literature, but also how to work in a team where you have lots of different smart folks and you might be the primary team trying to figure out how to move forward.
So we do kidney transplants, liver transplants, heart transplants. There's a BMT service. So really there's a lot of subspecialty care, and then also some general pediatrics that comes to our hospital.
You know, just awesome discharge coordinators and pharmacists and social workers who are, you know, trusted colleagues and friends.
You can't throw a pacifier without hitting an expert, a world expert in something, right?
So Minneapolis, obviously it's beautifully set in the city here. I think that compared to some of the other sites, Children's in general provides a breadth of pediatrics. So we take care of very complex genetic unknowns to very healthy kids that have appendicitis, and essentially everything in between.
One of the things that makes our site unique is definitely the diversity of patients that we see, that being like diversity from cultural standpoint, but then also diversity in the patient acuity. So we have like our bread and butter pediatrics, your bronchiolitis, appendicitis, those sorts of things. But then we also have patients that we see.
So we also have some specialty areas of focus. So you'll see those patients here as well, including hem-onc patients. We run our trauma service on this campus, so we do slightly more orthopedic care than our St. Paul campus.
Complex genetic conditions, trach dependent, G-tube dependent. It gives our residents an opportunity to really see a breadth of patients and these encounters that can help them prepare for their future.
Even more so than what I realized was happening as a resident, that we are constantly adapting and making changes that will help our patients.
Not only our pediatric and med-peds residents, but then we also have our family medicine residents that train here. We have quite a few programs that come to Minneapolis.
We're continually changing to meet the demands of our patients and families.
The reason that I'm at Children's is because it's a freestanding children's hospital with this very deep-seated commitment to take care of every kid in the state of Minnesota, regardless of their ability to pay. And they have strong advocacy work and do a lot to really make sure that kids in our state and around the area, as you said, get great care.
It makes it a little bit different from our other sites in that it's a community children's hospital, so not an academic center, even though we do a lot of teaching services and subspecialty care. We have one resident team here, as opposed to some of the other sites. We have multiple resident teams.
I didn't realize how unusual this was until I had started being in national meetings and learning that we take care of stuff on the floor at Children's that in many hospitals would be in the ICU. Kids on very high flow settings with respiratory problems, kids in DKA. And so I love it because it's a really medically challenging place to learn and teach.
We work directly with the attendings on the resident teaching teams. So there are no fellows here that we work with directly. So it's very much a resident-led rotation site. And then the other thing I think that is a strength, which is also a strength at Minneapolis Children's, is we just have a lot of turnover here. And so we have a lot of kids who are generally healthy who come in for very short hospitalizations. So you get very good at efficiency and admissions and discharges.
For many of the families who are coming from outside of the Twin Cities for specialty care, they're at the end of a longer journey. So while we do take care of a lot of bread and butter pediatrics, we also take care of a lot of families that have been struggling for a long time in systems that couldn't maybe adequately care for them or couldn't figure out what kind of care they needed.
From the very first time I stepped in the doors of Hennepin, I had this sense of coming home.
I love that we get to work with other specialties because it is adult and pediatric hospital. And then the colleagues and the people that choose to work at Hennepin are just exceptional.
The first thing is that Hennepin County is a level 1 pediatric trauma center, and it's in the heart of downtown Minneapolis. And so you get local patients that are coming in for just regular pediatric care, but then you also get any kind of local trauma usually comes here, in addition to a lot of the outstate, sort of more traditionally like rural trauma also comes here. So you have like a really wide array of patient presentations.
The county hospital, which everyone rotates through, in their basement is the Minnesota Poison Control Center. So it's who you get on the phone when you are physically located in Minnesota and you call the Poison Control Center. It's one of those people that picks up the phone and tells you what to do. Not only is it pretty mind-blowing that it's located right down the street, but it's so interesting, so novel, and the people there are so intensely smart and interested in what they're doing that it really rubs off on you and is a really cool experience.
We also have a burn unit, and so any children with burn injuries that need hospitalization will come here, and that's a really unique part of our training here.
Meeting colleagues across departments who go above and beyond for their patients and families every single day. It's a safety net hospital, and people are always striving to improve the care they provide to patients.
So 85% of our patients are insured through Medicaid, and 10% of our patients are uninsured. And so only about 5% of our patients that we care for here have private insurance. And I think that reflects sort of our commitment to caring for people in the community regardless of payment. And I think it also inspires like a great interest in social determinants of health and health inequities, and a big commitment both from the faculty and staff, but everyone who works in the building, I think, really is committed to sort of reducing injustices in those realms.
I really feel honored to be a part of my patients' lives, and I just haven't looked back. Thanks for joining us for this little video, and we hope to see you in Minnesota, where you can meet in person our furry friends, Everett and
Murphy. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.
Here I am.
Look at them. We're so cute.
She has burrs all in her fur.
His paws are dirty.